Imagine a country where tribes don't bathe, where women explore intimacy with each other before marriage, and where people work only 2 hours a day. This place exists, and it's called Botswana, a nation lost between burning deserts and ancient wilderness, home to the Bushmen, considered among the oldest human cultures on Earth, where shamans throw bones to predict the future. Pay attention and open your eyes, because in this new video from Uncensored World, we're going to discover one of the wildest places on Earth. Let's get started. Botswana, officially known as the Republic of Botswana, is a country located in southern Africa, a place where nature still reigns and man coexists with wildlife in perfect harmony. Its landscapes range from the scorching Kalahari Desert to the lush wetlands of the Okavango Delta, creating a majestic setting that few places in the world can match. It borders Zambia and Namibia to the north, and interestingly, its border with Zambia, barely 150 meters long, is the shortest in the world, forming a geographical mosaic that combines arid lands, vast savannas, and unique aquatic areas. With an area of approximately 581,700 square kilometers, Botswana is comparable in size to France, ranking 48th in the world in terms of surface area. However, its population barely reaches 2.5 million, making it one of the least densely populated countries in Africa. This relative isolation has allowed its natural environment to remain almost untouched, making Botswana a refuge for species that are on the brink of extinction elsewhere. The country has vast expanses of national parks and reserves, where lions, leopards, hyenas, gazelles, and hundreds of bird species can be observed in a virtually untouched environment. Almost 40% of its territory is protected, divided between parks, game reserves, and wildlife management areas. This makes it one of the most impressive destinations for nature and wildlife lovers, as it is possible to observe lions, elephants, leopards, hyenas, gazelles, and hundreds of bird species in a virtually untouched environment. Among its most famous areas is the Okavango Delta, which we will soon learn more about, declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Thanks to this network of reserves and parks, Botswana has established itself as one of the favorite countries for tourists, as it is also considered one of the safest countries in Africa, allowing visitors to explore its vast plains and deserts with relative peace of mind, even in remote areas. The name Botswana comes from the Tswana people, the predominant ethnic group in the region. It literally means the land of the Tswana, honoring those who have inhabited these lands for centuries and who have managed to preserve their culture despite colonial influence and modernity. Botswana is also one of the oldest populated places in Africa and the world, as these lands are home to the San, known as Bushmen, considered the oldest tribe on the planet. Their presence dates back tens of thousands of years, and their deep knowledge of hunting, gathering, and survival has made them true guardians of the desert and savanna. We will soon learn more about the San, exploring their ancient customs, their controversial divination rituals, their intimate way of life, their unique click language, and their impressive survival techniques. These realities have allowed them not only to survive, but to thrive in one of the harshest and most extreme environments on the planet. Considered by many to be one of the most beautiful countries in Africa and the world, Botswana offers spectacular landscapes ranging from the Kalahari Deserts to the lush delta lands. Its golden sunsets over the endless plains, its starry night skies, and its serene and peaceful atmosphere are unforgettable for those lucky enough to explore this African natural treasure. In terms of climate and geography, much of Botswana is covered by the Kalahari Desert, which influences its semi-arid and subtropical climate. However, despite its name, the Kalahari is not a true desert, as it receives a moderate amount of rainfall throughout the year. The rainy season generally occurs from November to March, while the driest months are from May to October. In addition to the Kalahari, Botswana is also home to the Okavango Delta, one of Africa's largest concentrations of wildlife, and one of the world's most incredible natural wonders. The Okavango Delta is, as we mentioned, another of the most spectacular destinations for wildlife viewing in Africa. It is also the largest inland delta in the world, and is formed by the seasonal flooding of the Okavango River, which overflows during the rainy season and creates a labyrinth of magical channels, lagoons, and wetlands for those lucky enough to observe them. This lush oasis attracts an abundant variety of wildlife, including elephants, whose population is the largest in Africa, as well as lions, giraffes, zebras, hippos, and a wide range of water birds. Mokoro safaris, which is the name given to the traditional canoes of the tribes in Botswana, are one of the best ways to explore this aquatic paradise and offer a unique experience to observe the wildlife from a peaceful perspective that is unique to this fascinating corner of the earth. At the end of the video, we will help you understand how you can visit this country and enjoy places like the Okavango Delta to the fullest. But before that, let's get to know the most legendary tribe in this region of the world and much of the planet, the San tribe. This tribe, also known as the Bushmen, is one of the oldest and most fascinating indigenous cultures in Africa and the world. The San have inhabited the southern African region, including Botswana, for thousands of years and have developed a deep connection with the land and nature. The San are expert hunter-gatherers and have developed unique techniques to survive in the desert and semi-desert environments of the region. One of the most distinctive features of San culture is their unique language, which includes a variety of clicks and clicks. This complex and musical language is fundamental to communication between tribe members and has been passed down from generation to generation for centuries. It is a language that you would surely find very difficult to understand if you ever had the opportunity to meet the San. Their click language has evolved into an extremely sophisticated sound system, where each click conveys precise information about tracking, animals, water, or danger, functioning as an ancestral human GPS. One type of click, which we could call lateral because it is produced by moving the tongue to the sides of the palate, can indicate, for example, the presence of an antelope nearby, while a higher-pitched click signals a hidden water source miles away. Other sounds can convey precise coordinates of the terrain, distinguishing safe paths from areas where predators lurk, indicating the presence of water or the proximity of animals. Each combination of click and vowel has a specific meaning for them, which is why the San teach their children these sounds from a very young age, turning their language into an extremely efficient survival tool that, together with detailed observation of their surroundings, allows them to hunt and move across the savanna for tens of kilometers without the need for maps or compasses. This same system of clicks that they use to describe a path or a source of water can be used to express affection, desire, or intimate consent. During adolescence, young people learn a more subtle use of language. Clicks combined with vowels can have intimate meanings depending on the tone, rhythm, and body language that accompany them. A soft click accompanied by a low vowel can express attraction or curiosity, while a faster, more closed click, along with a specific look or gesture, can imply an invitation or acceptance to something more intimate. For the San, clicks are more than a secret language. They are a language where emotions are communicated precisely without the need for direct words. On dance nights or community gatherings, soft clicks between young people not only mark the rhythm of the drum or the songs, but also the bonds that begin to form between those who will one day start new families. Hunting is an art that the San practice by traveling dozens of kilometers every day, just as they did thousands of years ago. They walk stealthily, following tracks, droppings, and animal marks, demonstrating an intuitive knowledge of their surroundings that seems superhuman. Some hunters apply mud or ash paint to camouflage themselves in the savanna, while others use bows, arrows, and sometimes animal poison to kill larger prey, maintaining techniques that are virtually identical to those of their ancestors tens of thousands of years ago. Patience is key, and a hunt can last for hours or days, so the San know how to wait for the right moment to shoot, demonstrating discipline, physical endurance, and emotional control. Life in the Kalahari can be so extreme that at times, the Bushmen are forced to resort to survival methods that would be unimaginable to others. One of these ancestral traditions involves extracting water from the stomachs of hunted animals, a practice used only when no other source is available. This resource allows them to stay hydrated during the dry season, demonstrating a remarkable adaptation to one of the most arid and demanding environments on the planet. To carry out this process, hunters carefully clean the animal's stomach and filter the liquids it contains, extracting water that, although not abundant, is sufficient to quench their thirst and continue hunting or gathering. Learning how to do this requires training from childhood, observing adults, and developing a precise understanding of animal behavior and how to handle their bodies without wasting resources. In addition, the San know how to combine this knowledge with other complementary survival methods, such as collecting juicy roots, extracting moisture from certain plants, or identifying small pools hidden under sand and vegetation. Due to this extreme environment and the difficulty of survival, part of their learning includes a rigorous and very dangerous initiation ritual for young people who aspire to become hunters. They must spend weeks or even months alone in the savannah, learning to move with the environment, to listen to it and understand it, to track animals, and to survive using only their wits and the resources that nature provides them. These initiation rituals are not only a physical test, but also an extreme experience that tests the body and mind. It involves absolute mastery of fear and patience that borders on the inhuman. Young people must remain motionless and completely silent for hours, sometimes entire days, stalking animals without making a single sound, while at times they are deliberately deprived of water and food. At certain points in the process, they are even tasked with hunting dangerous predators, such as hyenas or jackals, under the watchful eye of the elders, who observe whether the aspirant maintains the calm, precision, and respect for life that characterize a true sand hunter. This combination of sensory deprivation, isolation, and confrontation with danger develops a concentration and endurance that would seem almost superhuman to any visitor. During those weeks of solitude, the young men learn to synchronize their breathing with their surroundings, to move with absolute stealth, to listen to the silence, and to read the hidden messages in the wind, the light, or the behavior of animals. Although this method has been described as extreme by Western anthropologists, the San consider it an essential rite of connection with nature and purification of the spirit. They say that by passing these tests, a young man not only proves that he can hunt, but that he has learned to live in balance with the earth, understanding that true power lies not in dominating the environment, but in becoming part of it. At the end of the ritual, the young men who have passed the initiation tests are not only recognized as expert hunters, but have also attained a deep level of knowledge and connection with nature that makes them respected adults within the community. The elders assure us that these rituals teach much more than hunting techniques. They instruct on the cycles of life, the importance of respecting animals, valuing every resource that the savanna offers, and always acting in harmony with the environment. But beyond these initiation rituals as an extreme reality, the San maintain a much darker ancient tradition that would make many people's hair stand on end, known as dikopelo. The term comes from the Bantu languages of southern Africa and can be translated as the throwing of bones. This ancient divination ritual, practiced not only among the San but also among the Botswana and Herero groups, is considered a sacred connection to the spirit world and the secrets of destiny. On the quietest nights when the moon barely touches the sand, the diviners gather in circles away from the village. Around them burn small fires of aromatic wood, and in the center, the bones, from sacred animals, often jackals, antelopes, or birds, rest inside a tanned skin. With chants and rhythmic breathing, the diviners throw the bones to the ground, carefully observing the way they fall, their orientation, and the distance between them. What may seem like a game of chance to an outside observer is, for them, an ancestral language. Each position represents a message, a warning, or a revelation. Some bones symbolize family, others travel, illness, or death, and the resulting pattern is interpreted as a reading of the balance between the visible and invisible worlds. Only the Ngaka or initiated sages can understand the mysteries that emerge from this dance of bones. They claim that if the wind blows while the bones fall, it is the spirit of the ancestors intervening directly in the consultation. For this reason, no one can interrupt a dikopelo without permission. To do so would be to offend the dead. A fascinating curiosity is that some diviners use ancient human bones, inherited from previous generations, because they believe they preserve the voice of the deceased soul, acting as messengers between the two worlds. According to the elders, these bones speak with a slight tinkling sound when the answers are favorable, or remain silent if fate is not yet written. Dikopelo is therefore much more than a simple ritual. It is a symbolic portal to the unknown, an attempt to listen to what the modern world has already forgotten, to dialogue with nature, ancestors, and the mysteries of time. In Botswana and the heart of Africa, this tradition is still seen as a sacred art, a form of wisdom that does not seek to control the future, but to understand it. This philosophy of respect and harmony has guided the San since time immemorial, consolidating a unique bond between the community and the nature that surrounds them. Arrows and spears are made using ancient techniques from wood, natural resins, and stone or bone tips. And for them, hunting is never for sport, as every animal killed is used to its fullest potential, and only what is necessary to feed the family and maintain balance with the environment is killed. Soon we will continue to learn about the San and some of their most controversial rituals, and at the end of the video, we will help you find out about some of the tours available in the country, so you can learn more about local communities such as the San tribe. Tours such as those to the diamond mines in this country, although the latter are certainly much more controlled. Botswana is the world's largest producer of rough diamonds in terms of value, and this is the country's most important economic driver. That is why the country has created tours that offer tourists the opportunity to visit the diamond mines, although the availability of these tours may vary depending on the mine and local regulations. One of the best-known diamond mines in Botswana is the Jwaneng Diamond Mine, one of the largest open-pit diamond mines in the world, which has a very significant impact on the country's economy. On these tours, visitors can learn about the history of diamond mining in Botswana, as well as the process of extracting and processing diamonds. Despite its wealth of natural resources, Botswana has worked to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on diamonds. Among these other activities are safaris, which represent a unique experience in this country. Botswana is world-renowned for its impressive variety of wildlife and vast protected areas, making it one of the world's favorite destinations for safaris. This country is home to one of the largest concentrations of wildlife in Africa, making it a special place to discover the Big Five: lions, elephants, buffalo, leopards, and rhinos. This abundance of wildlife has also been a determining factor in the survival and adaptation of cultures such as the Bushmen, since for them, learning to read animal tracks, interpret their behavior, and anticipate their movements is not a game, but a vital skill that is passed down from generation to generation. The harshness of Botswana's wild environment shaped every aspect of their existence, from the selection of hunting and gathering routes to the way they found and used water, a reality that has a lot to do with the fact that these men and women do not bathe, at least not as most of us would understand it. The San do not bathe with water, as we are accustomed to thinking. Their daily cleansing consists of rubbing themselves with fine sand, mud, leaves, and animal fat, rituals that protect their skin from the sun and insects and are also part of their cultural identity. The main reason for not bathing in a way that most of us understand as normal is not only cultural, but also practical and adaptive, as water is very scarce in the Kalahari Desert, and using it daily would be an impossible luxury that could even endanger their lives. The Bushmen know that materials such as sand, Mud, leaves, and fat act as natural protectors, keeping the skin hydrated, free of insects, and protected from the scorching sun, while preserving the natural oils that the body needs. This form of hygiene is so effective that visitors are surprised to see that, without water, their skin remains clean and healthy, and their natural scent is subtle, linked to the earth they walk on every day. By applying red mud mixed with fat, the skin of San women and men takes on a warm, uniform reddish tone, which highlights their muscles and facial features under the Kalahari sun. This color is not only decorative, as it also acts as a natural filter against UV rays and marks their tribal identity. The San have practiced this type of dry bathing for thousands of years, since prehistoric times, as a direct adaptation to their environment. The tradition is passed down from generation to generation, and children learn from an early age to rub themselves with sand and mud, watching as older women and men apply the grease evenly to protect their bodies, usually covered only with loincloths or minimal clothing, allowing the natural protection to reach most of their skin. These baths not only help them remove impurities, but also protect their skin from the scorching sun and allow them to better withstand the extreme temperatures of the Kalahari. Scientists who have studied the Bushmen point out that these practices are not only cultural, as they help their bodies filter out much of the ultraviolet rays, keeping the skin hydrated and resistant to burns and long-term damage. Analysis of these techniques has inspired research into natural sunscreens and cream formulas that mimic the protective effects of mud, fat, and minerals, many of which many of us have been able to use, showing that the ancestral wisdom of the San offers valuable lessons on how to care for the skin in extreme environments. All of this leads many scientists to believe that the Bushmen may have been the inventors of the first sunscreen in human history. Studies have shown that this combination of mud, fat, and sand acts as a natural sunblock, while their diet and lifestyle, unchanged for millennia, contribute to much lower stress levels than those of modern societies. We could probably learn a lot from them, not only in terms of physical adaptation, because as you can see, survival and health do not depend solely on technology, but even more so on understanding the body, nature, and the balance between the two. But the San are not the only tribe that lives or has lived in this beautiful African country. Before the European colonization of Botswana, this region was inhabited by various tribes and ethnic groups, such as the Tswana, who were the majority, the San, whom you recently learned about, the Khoikhoi, and the Bantu, among others. These tribes had their own social structures, cultures, and ways of life. The history of European colonization in Botswana began in the 19th century, when European explorers and settlers began to settle in the region in search of natural resources and trade routes. However, unlike many other parts of Africa, Botswana managed to avoid colonial rule and maintain its independence for most of the colonial era. One of the key factors contributing to this independence was its apparent lack of valuable mineral resources at the time, such as gold, which attracted European colonizers to other parts of Africa and not to this country. Although Botswana is now the largest exporter of diamonds, in those years the inhabitants of this country were fortunate that the diamond industry had not developed and would not do so until after the country's full independence in 1996. It was fortunate for the inhabitants of this beautiful country that diamonds were not yet valued, don't you think? In addition to this apathy on the part of the colonists, local tribal leaders in Botswana managed to establish alliances with European countries. Thus, during the colonial period, Botswana was known as the Bechuanaland Protectorate, and although it was under British influence, it maintained considerable political and administrative autonomy. If you want to learn more about Botswana's present and recent past, there is a Hollywood film called A United Kingdom, which tells the story of an interracial love affair between Seretse, the heir to the throne in Botswana, and Ruth Williams, a white British woman who defied the opposition of the British Empire at the time. For Botswana, more important than the love story would be what happened next. Seretse came to power, and under his presidency, between 1966 and 1980, Botswana maintained one of the best human rights records in all of Africa. The country thus became a model of freedom, democracy, and racial equality. Seretse Khama's government embodied historical lessons on how incorporating human rights into policymaking can benefit the fundamental interests of the state and reduce differences and conflicts. Botswana faced complicated challenges at the time of its independence in 1966. The country was surrounded by hostile white minority regimes in South Africa, Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and Southwest Africa, now Namibia. In addition, Botswana was impoverished and dependent on its neighbors. Therefore, Seretse Khama and his party focused on establishing a non-racial democracy based on human rights ideals and diversifying its economy. Aware of the volatility and limitations of relying exclusively on income generated by the diamond industry, the country's political and economic leaders have since actively promoted the expansion and strengthening of other key sectors such as agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, and financial services. This has led to greater economic stability and reduced vulnerability to changes in diamond prices and demand in international markets. That is why Seretse Khama's government created the Botswana Constitution years ago with the intention of guaranteeing the rights of individual citizens, regardless of their origin, laws that help the country and its population prosper, to become one of the most developed countries on the African continent. These unique rights and freedoms have a lot to do with the fact that one of the most striking traditions of this nation and the world, that of intimate relationships between women of the Kung tribe, is still maintained in the country. The Kung are one of the communities of the San tribe, perhaps the best known, partly for having preserved traditions such as this one, which involves the exploration of female sexuality through intimate relationships between women, before having relationships with men. This practice is considered a rite of passage for young women, where they learn about their own bodies, mutual pleasure, relationship dynamics, and consent before marrying or committing to a male partner. These intimate encounters between women are not only accepted, but also encouraged within the community as an integral part of the intimate and emotional development of these young women. For Kung women, these intimate games between them are not only a way to explore their sexuality, but also to strengthen community ties and pass on knowledge about intimacy and pleasure. In Kung culture, freedom is highly valued and women's autonomy to make decisions about their intimate lives is respected. This inclusive and respectful approach to female sexuality contrasts with many other cultures that impose restrictions and taboos on women's intimate relationships before marriage. According to the traditions of these African tribes, the freedom of these populations is so great, and the way these societies view the world so different, that married women often have male lovers in order to continue accumulating experience. Apart from this unique way of understanding and transmitting their knowledge and culture, the Kung are world famous for their egalitarian social structure, which is reflected in their lack of leaders or chiefs. According to anthropologists, the Kung are one of the few African tribes without chiefs, which allows them to make decisions collectively and value equality among community members. This community-based approach extends to their lifestyle, where they share resources and knowledge. With no hierarchies or classes, the Kung seem to have realized something that most humans and governments have overlooked: the importance of free time to enjoy life more and better. For the Kung and Bushmen, time is the most valuable resource, and in a society where competition is pointless, and it is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least, they have learned to live life like few other societies in the world. This approach to life is known among anthropologists as the economy of sufficiency, or principle of minimal demand. The idea of consuming only what is necessary to survive and not accumulating more than the environment can sustain. Thanks to this, the Kung have managed to maintain a sustainable balance with their ecosystem for thousands of years. That is why one of their most important differences and qualities has to do with their working hours. For example, Ethnographic studies show that on an average day, the Kung collect between 5 and 7 kilograms of roots, fruits, and nuts, enough to feed the entire community. This amount is achieved in a few hours, while the rest of the day is spent playing games, singing, dancing, teaching, clicking, and observing the environment, strengthening social cohesion and the transmission of ancestral knowledge. This is a very short working time, as the Kung spend a maximum of 2 hours a day on subsistence activities, leaving them plenty of time for leisure, socializing, and enjoying community life. Interestingly, this way of life contrasts sharply with most modern societies. While the average person spends between 8 and 10 hours working daily, the Kung can maintain a full and healthy life with just a quarter of that time. Some anthropologists even point out that this low work pressure contributes to their low incidence of stress-related illnesses and their relative longevity compared to other populations in similar environments. At this point, we would like to ask you, how many hours would you like to work? Would you like to do it like them? What do you think about the Kung and the relationships between women to gain experience? Pause the video and leave us your comment and a like. Doing so is the best way you can help us continue working to bring you the best content every week, and taking a few seconds will bring you closer to the wise philosophy of the Bushmen. So thank you. This way of life, based on cooperation and adaptation to their environment, has been the subject of study and admiration by researchers and people interested in traditional and sustainable societies. The San tribe is probably one of the wisest that has ever existed on Earth, even though they do not use cell phones or have ever set foot in schools or universities. Their knowledge of the planet does not come from books or technology, but from 1,000 years of observation, practice, and oral transmission. An accumulated knowledge that allows them to read the environment in a way that few modern humans could imagine. The Bushmen, known as the San, are considered the oldest human beings on Earth. And this antiquity is not only chronological, it is reflected in each of their traditions, in the way they hunt, gather, interpret the stars, or search for water in the most inhospitable places. Their life is a testament to constant adaptation and learning, passed down from generation to generation. A fascinating example of this wisdom can be found in the Sotelo Hills, a region that has preserved the memory of these peoples for more than 20,000 years. There, in caves and rock shelters, the San left more than 4,000 cave paintings, some more than 20,000 years old, which are now considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Each stroke, each animal or human figure, is a record of their life, their beliefs, and their interaction with nature. These paintings not only show the fauna that inhabited the region, but also scenes of hunting, rituals, and spiritual symbolism. Looking at them, one can intuit how the San viewed life. A subtle balance between respect for nature and survival, between the tangible and the spiritual. It is a visual language that has come down to us from prehistoric times, like a bridge connecting our modern societies with the most ancient of humanity. The San society is considered the oldest known, not only because of the age of its archaeological records, but also because of the continuity of its customs and social structure. From hunting to initiation rituals, the way they communicate with cliques or di capello, this culture has managed to remain almost intact for millennia. This means that in a way, we can travel back in time simply by observing their way of life. This reminds us that language and intelligence do not depend on writing or technology, but on the need to adapt and understand the planet we live on. It is likely that such wisdom has something to do with Botswana being recognized as one of the most stable, safe, and democratic countries in Africa, with low crime rates and a welcoming attitude towards foreign visitors. These are all reasons that will surely help this country continue to develop sustainable tourism, allowing it to remain one of the most developed countries on the African continent. With this in mind, at Uncensored World, we have done some research and will now try to help you organize a trip to this country by telling you how to get there, enjoy it, and get around this incredible country. To get to Botswana from the United States, the most common route is to take an international flight to Johannesburg, South Africa. and from there connect with a direct flight to Sir Seretse Khama International Airport in the capital, Gaborone. From Europe, there are direct flights from London, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam to Gaborone, although it is also possible to make stopovers in South Africa or neighboring countries such as Namibia and Zambia. Once in the country, you can use ground transportation, domestic flights, or air safaris to reach remote destinations such as the Okavango Delta or the Kalahari Desert. As for visas, most visitors will need to obtain one before arrival, depending on their nationality. It is recommended to always check the requirements at the Botswana embassy or consulate in your home country to avoid surprises. Botswana is one of the cheapest countries in Africa and the world for budget-conscious travelers. For example, a cup of coffee or a beer usually costs around $1, while a full meal in an inexpensive restaurant can cost around $3 to $5. A night in a mid-range hotel generally costs no more than $100, and renting an apartment for a month in cities such as Gaborone or Maun can cost between $300 and $600 depending on the location and the services included. Getting around the country is easy and safe. The official currency is the pula, although credit cards are accepted in tourist areas. Taxi fares, public transportation, and car rentals are also very reasonable, making Botswana an affordable destination without sacrificing adventure and quality of experience. In terms of activities, the country is a paradise for nature and wildlife lovers. Its parks and reserves, such as the Okavango Delta, Chobe National Park, and Moremi Game Reserve, allow visitors to observe the famous Big Five: lions, elephants, buffalo, leopards, and rhinos, as well as hundreds of species of birds and other amazing creatures. A 2-day safari in the Delta, with basic accommodation, usually costs between $400 and $800 per person, while longer programs of 5 to 11 nights for more immersive experiences with the San can reach $1,500 to $4,000 per person, including accommodation and specialized guides. Visiting the San is a unique experience, and it is only possible through organized tours that strictly respect their culture and privacy. During these experiences, visitors can walk with them, watch hunting demonstrations, learn ancestral survival techniques, light fires in the traditional way, and, in some cases, spend the night in a prepared camp. All of this is done under the supervision of elders and local guides to ensure respect and safety for the community. As you can see, Botswana combines adventure, nature, culture, and much more at a very good price. From the majestic elephants of the Okavango Delta to the ancient wisdom of the San, this country offers an experience that few places in the world can match. At Uncensored World, we hope that this tour of Botswana has been as fascinating for you as it has been for us. We are sure that there are not many places in the world as extraordinary as this region of the planet. With that in mind, and considering the effort that goes into making these videos, if you enjoyed this video and are not yet subscribed, don't wait any longer and do so now by activating the bell so you don't miss out on the fascinating videos we make every week. Videos like this one, which you can enjoy now to discover another of the most fascinating corners of the planet. Don't miss out and discover the wonders this place has to offer.